Introducing the 3i S10 Ultra, the world's first robot vacuum that not only cleans but also recycles its water. With its innovative water recycling system, you'll never need to refill or replace water tanks again. Plus, its powerful suction, advanced obstacle avoidance, and intelligent cleaning strategies ensure a spotless home. The UltraReach Roller Mop guarantees deep cleaning, while the dirt scanning technology identifies and tackles all kinds of debris. Its anti-tingle design prevents hair and debris from clogging the system, and its 7-stage sterilization system ensures a healthier home environment. Experience the future of home cleaning with the 3i S10 Ultra. Now take a look at the base station itself. It does have a very good size. This is where all the magic's gonna happen when it comes to the water, as well as emptying out the dustbin of the robot itself. Over on the back, we do have a pretty long length power cable with 3 prongs, along with this little tie here in case you need to control the wire a bit. Now if we pop off this little front piece right here, it actually reveals the dustbin, and this is actually removable and disposable, and you can easily replace these once they are full. It simply slides into the groove right here just like that, and you're ready to go. Simply put the cover back on to keep it nice and secured. Now down here at the bottom, we actually do have this little tray here that's actually attached by magnets to stay in place, and it easily fits right back inside just like so. Now if we take a look up here at the top, we do have the station cover that simply pops open like this, and this is where things get interesting compared to some other robot vacuum and mops that I've used. Right here on the front, we do have a very large reservoir to hold all the clean water, but obviously it's better than that since it's gonna basically make its own water and clean dirty water, so you never have to actually refill this. But right next to it, there's this little button, and over here we actually have a little reservoir to put cleaning solution in it to keep everything nice and separate. Very, very nice. I love that. So the next thing we gotta do is install the bottle of cleaning solution. So we're gonna press the little button inside, pop open the top, unscrew the cap. We're gonna remove the protective seal, place the bottle inside, it's a perfect fit, and then close the top. Very easy. Now in order to set up the water tank, there's a little button in here that we're gonna press to open it up. Over on this side we have this little slot. We're gonna twist this to unlock and take off the cap. Next we're gonna take our carbon rod filter and slide it into place, and then replace the cap, just like so. Now under normal circumstances, you wanna fill the water tank up to the max level with water at room temperature. However, I'm gonna fill it up about halfway since we're gonna be demonstrating some water producing functions. It's a little bit hard to see, but we have it filled up about halfway with water. Now we're gonna simply close the top and put it back into place. Just like so, very easy. And now take a look at the robot itself. We'll remove these little foam pads. And up top we actually have this magnetic removable cover that unveils the dustbin, as well as the Wi-Fi button, the power button, as well as the start button. Removing the dustbin is very easy. Simply push this button, slide it on out, and as you can see, we do have a good capacity in here along with a nice air filter. As you can see, everything's gonna get sucked in through here and into the dustbin to keep it nice and secured until it makes it back to the base station to empty itself out. Putting it back into place is very simple, but keep in mind, for the most part, you won't ever have to remove this since it's gonna be emptying out itself inside of the station without any intervention whatsoever. Now, once you do have the magnetic cover back on top, we still do have access to the start button, so that's very nice. Now, over here on the front, we do have this bumper in case it hits something so it knows to stop moving. And it also does have edge sensors so it can detect edges. Now if we flip it over and take a look at the bottom, this is where things get quite a bit more interesting. We do have this 360-degree pivoting wheel so it can turn with ease. We do have 2 spinning brushes to bring all the debris that it goes across into the middle so it can get sucked up into this tangle-free roller and go into the dustbin. We do have these big beefy wheels that do go in and out in case it needs to go over a bump in the road or the floor. Now around the edges, we actually do have cliff sensors, so it actually knows when it's coming to an edge. For example, if it goes to a staircase, so it doesn't go driving off. Now over here on the back, this is one of the cool parts. We actually have the roller mop here that's actually gonna clean itself as it rolls, so it doesn't bring dirt and grime from one room to another as it's cleaning. Now over here on the back, we do have 2 charging pin connectors, so it can charge at the base station. And then right here, we actually do have the sewage tank, so it actually pops off, and this is where it's gonna keep all the dirtiness and the griminess that you don't want that's coming off your floor. Very easy to remove and put back into place. And then of course right here we do have a little hole here that's going to actually allow fresh water to go inside of the robot so it can use that water to clean with the roller mop. Over on the side we do have an air vent, and over on the other side we actually have this little rubber flap here that's going to open up to suck out all of the stuff from the dustbin into the station. And then of course, taking a look at the front, this is where all the smart stuff comes into play. Right here in the middle we have our AI recognition module, and down here on the bottom we actually have our green laser so it can easily detect debris. And now that we know what's going on with the robot vacuum and the base station itself, let's actually get it plugged into some power and place the robot inside. And as you can see, the LED light lit up because it did start charging. The good news is this robot does actually support 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi networks, which is a major plus because a lot of them don't. So now we can put the magnetic cover back on, put it back inside the base station. And now let's take a quick look at the app. We can see that charging is in progress. Down at the bottom, we do have a couple of shortcuts: AI, auto cleaning, deep clean, and full sweep and mop. And we also have a big get started button along with a nice 3D render of the robot and station itself. So we tap on get started. It'll give us some instructions to use. It tells you where to place the robot vacuum. You should have clearance on all the sides. We install the dustbin and cleaning solution, add water, build the map, set no-go areas so we can have off-limit areas like rugs that it might get tangled up in. We can enable AI recognition, which is going to be amazing, so I'm definitely going to enable that. So that way it'll avoid obstacles like shoes and cords. And then next we're going to actually have to start building up the map. So now without further ado, let's start building a map.
To start building a map, please open the room door and clear the debris on the floor.
So when you do have it set up to start making a map, you want to make sure all doors are open and everything is clear so it can actually map out the entire area that you want. Now if we take a look at the app while it is building this map, you can see how it's actually scanning everything and building out the map in real time, which is very nice. You can actually see where the base station is as well. So while we have the robot out there building a map, if this thing would get out of my face, I wish the robot could suck it up. Anyways, while that's happening, let's go through all the settings inside of the app. We can see our work records, the last working area, as well as the last working duration. We can set up scheduled cleaning so it'll automatically start cleaning certain days at certain times with your custom settings. We can edit the map to set up off-limit areas. We can go to cleaning settings so we can have auto retractable edge cleaning as well as smart order. And up at the top, we also have carpet settings, so we can have pressure boost for carpet as well as having it avoid carpet automatically. We also have more robot settings here, including a child safety lock, so none of the buttons can be used by anybody, it'll be locked out. We also have do not disturb mode, language, volume, locate robot, level robot, and restore settings. AI recognition, of course, I like to have that turned on, but we also do have some more information as well. We have dirt displays, so once that's enabled, the robot will identify the type of floor stains and automatically adjust the cleaning perimeters to best suit the job. We have pet displays, so it'll avoid pet areas and display them on the map. We have object displays, so it'll avoid recognized objects and display them on the map as well. And we also have furniture display. And then next up, we actually have green-eye dirt detection, which is very cool because it'll detect dirt on the floor with the green lasers. Then of course, we have station settings. We have station lighting, so we can have the station lights turned on or off. Water produced by air is one of the amazing features here because it's going to work somewhat like a dehumidifier, except instead of having you empty out the water when it's done, it's actually going to fill up the water tank with the water, so you never have to actually do it yourself. As you can see right now, the current humidity is 41% in here, and it actually can set it to a certain range of humidity in order for it to start sucking moisture out of the air. Next up, we have consumables. So if we go into here, it actually shows you how much percentage of life each consumable part of the robot has left, including the side brush, the main brush, the dustbin filter, the roller mop, the cleaning solution, and the dust bag. And of course, we have firmware updates. We're already on the latest version, about the machine, privacy, security, and feedback. So now if we go back, we can see that it's still currently mapping out the area, and it's doing a very good job. It's got a lot of stuff done in a relatively short amount of time. And as you can see, the robot came back to the base station because it finished setting up the map. Very cool, came back right away, entered back in perfectly by itself. Very nice. All right, so now that it's back at the base station, we can actually take a look at the map that it built. We can see where the charging station is. We can see that it found a shoe on the floor. Very, very cool. Very nice. Nice 3D map here. Now, of course, like I said, up here at the top right, we can edit the map and we could put no-go zones. So if we want to block off an area, and as you can see, it actually labeled each individual room, and you can custom name them if you want to. So as you can see, we have the kitchen over here. So if we press the plus sign, we get a little box here so we can actually mark off any area of any size that we want it to not go into. Very cool in case you want it to stay away. You can also adjust furniture and set up where furniture is supposed to be in case I missed something. All right, so now we got the robot set up and everything mapped out. Let's actually get to the testing of what we're all here for. And the first feature I want to take a look at is the water recycling from the air. So like I said, it's going to work somewhat like a dehumidifier, suck the moisture out of the air and fill up the water tank with it. With about 60% humidity, it's supposed to take about 10 hours to go from empty to almost full. So with that being said, I'm going to get the water tank completely emptied out, and we're going to let it sit here overnight, and hopefully when we wake up in the morning, it'll be nice and full with water from literally the air. And keep in mind, this is just with a simple power cable and no water hose whatsoever. All right, welcome back. It has been 24 hours since we started having the station pull moisture out of the air, much like a dehumidifier. Now, to be fair, I'm in a pretty dry climate. My humidity level was about 35% for the last 24 hours, which isn't great because it does take roughly 10 hours to go from 0 to 100 when you have 60% humidity, which is definitely higher than 35. So in 24 hours with 35% humidity, I did get about an inch worth of water, which is still very impressive. And especially considering I'm not going to start with an empty tank, it's definitely going to have water in here. That'll definitely help top it up when it starts running, you know, a little bit on the lower side. But with that being said, for my next trick, or more so the trick of the station itself, we're going to be pouring some colored water on the floor, having the robot vacuum go mop it up. It's going to bring back the dirty water, and then the station's going to actually process the water so it becomes clean and goes back into the clean water tank to fill it up a little bit more. If this actually can pull that off, that's going to be really impressive. So now in order to demonstrate this, I did fill up the water tank with about 50% worth of water, and I did draw a silver line on here so you know exactly where the water is when we got started. So when we finish, it should actually rise up with clean water, even though all we're putting inside of it is going to be some dirty orange water. And remember, all we have is a clean water tank, a power cable, no dirty water tank, no water hoses, nothing. So this is going to be very impressive if it actually does the job. Alright, so what I'm going to do is basically just pour orange liquid all over the floor. And now we're going to have it clean it up. So now that we got the floor covered in orange liquid, we're going to send the robot out there to mop it up, get it nice and clean, and then we're going to check the dirty tank to make sure that it's in there before we send it back to get purified. Let's get started.
Start cleaning.
So now if we take a look inside of the sewage tank, we can see that we do have it filled up with dirty orange water that we're going to send back to the station to clean up and reuse. All right, so now the robot has returned back to the home station. The water level is a little bit lower because of the water that it used to clean the floor, and it's currently distilling the water into clean fresh water that's going to load back into the water tank for future use. So that's going to take roughly 2 hours, so let's come back when it's ready. All right, so it's been 2 hours, and now taking a look at the water tank, it looks like it actually surpassed the original line from before we started cleaning, even though after we finished cleaning, it went down to the second line that I drew on here. So it actually brought back quite a bit of water, but we got to make sure that it's actually clean and that the robot's actually empty. And if we take a look here, this thing is actually completely empty now. If you remember, when we started, this thing was actually completely full. But the question is the water that it put inside of the water tank actually clean? We gotta find out. So I'll put the robot back. And now let's take a look inside the water tank. Okay, that's insanely impressive because this water is actually completely clear and clean. There's no remnants of orange whatsoever in here. Look at that. It looks like I just filled this up from the sink. It's perfectly clean water, ready to go and clean again. All I'm saying is that's gotta be my favorite feature of this whole robot vacuum, because I've had other robot vacuums and mops, and the thing is, you have to constantly empty out the dirty water tank, refill the clean water tank, like every week or two. Doing this, you don't have to do any of that. That's impressive. I love that. Overall, I'm very impressed with the water recycling features of this robot vacuum. That's pretty much it. I am impressed, I am shocked, and that's just simply amazing. Now, while we're still on the subject of the mopping features of this robot vacuum, there are a couple of things that it does while it's mopping that are actually very notable and worth mentioning. The first one is the roller mop on the bottom. As it rolls around, it actually does clean itself as it's doing this, so that way, even if it goes through something dirty, it's not going to drag that mess into the other rooms and spread all the bacteria around. It's going to make sure to keep the roller brush nice and clean as it's cleaning, which is very nice instead of just dragging the same dirty cloth around every single room in your house, just spreading all the nastiness. And then the other thing that is very cool is that the roller mop actually extends outward to catch the edges of a wall while it's going along the edge. It's very, very cool because it actually physically moves so it can get the entire floor nice and clean. Very, very cool to see. And for the next test, we're going to be checking out the AI mopping capabilities. So as you can see, I got my orange water here. I'm going to just pour it on the floor. Oh wow, look at that. You can definitely tell that it's orange. So as you can see, it did a great job at getting up all the orange liquid off of the floor. And now it's been a couple of minutes since it sucked up that orange water, and it did a great job at keeping that brush nice and clean. It actually recognized that there was orange liquid on the floor that it needed to clean up, and it actually went directly over there to scrub it off of the ground. That was very, very impressive. So now that we got all the mopping wizardry out of the way, let's move on to the vacuum portion of this robot vacuum and mop combo. We're gonna test this out because it does have two things up its sleeve, including anti-tangle side brushes that work in real time, as well as the anti-tangle roller that won't get clogged up with hair. And any hair that does get trapped and locked in, it will get cut off once it returns back to the base station. So we're of course going to be putting those two features to the test right now, along with just seeing how good the suction power is and how well this thing acts as an actual vacuum, because I have a little minefield set up here with some cereal, some popcorn kernels, some flour, some random debris, as well as some poop, to see if it can actually avoid it while it's cleaning up everything else. And don't forget the big wad of hair that we have here to make sure it doesn't get all tangled up. So without further ado, let's get to cleaning. All right, I'm gonna have to stop the vacuum right there because overall so far I am really impressed because it did realize that there were debris here and it did go over it a bunch of times to make sure it got all of it, which was very nice. Now the thing is, we have to check to make sure the side brushes aren't tangled up because it's supposed to work in real time. And if we take a look here, you can see the side brushes are pretty much cleared and not tangled whatsoever. However, the roller brush does have all of that hair inside of it. But remember, once it gets back to the base station, it'll definitely cut through all that, and we'll check back once that happens. So I'll just set it back on the ground and we'll get continuing. All right, so there we have it. We just had to go clean up all the debris in the minefield and it did a very good job. As of right now, it is starting to clean out the hair, so all that hair that was stuck inside of the roller should be taken care of right now. But I was really impressed with how well it did. It found all the mess and it was like, okay, there's a mess right here. And it started focusing on that specific area. It went over it a bunch of times to make sure to suck everything up, and it did a great job. Now, what I was really, really impressed about was the poop situation. It saw the poop, it's like, whoa, hold on, we gotta go around that. And it did a complete full-on circle around it, not touching it whatsoever, which was very cool to see because I've heard horror stories about when robot vacuums don't do that and they go right through it, and nightmare situation right there. Now, as far as the app goes, watching the app while it's cleaning, it's actually very cool. It shows you exactly where all the dirt is on the map, as well as where the poop is, where the wires are, where shoes are, where different objects are that it can't go to, and that's very cool because it actually maps it out in real time as it's happening, so it knows to avoid those situations. Now it's starting to collect the dust after it detangled all the hair. And just like that, it's done detangling the hair and emptying out the dustbin into the dust bag of the station. Now it's gonna start charging, but we're not gonna let it charge because we gotta take a look at the roller to make sure that it's actually tangle free. So without further ado, the roller, look at that. Most of the hair is actually gone. Remember, there was a lot of hair in there as it was actually cleaning. So very cool. As you can see, there's a bunch of flour on the bottom because that was a lot of flour, and generally you wouldn't have that much flour on your floor, I would hope. But I can say overall it did a really good job with everything that I threw at it, even though those are more extreme circumstances, because to be fair, my house is never actually that dirty. And if I did pour a bunch of flour on the floor, I would actually sweep it up myself, because that's just what you're supposed to do. But all in all, the 3i S10 Ultra Robot Vacuum and Mop is a wonderful addition to my house. My favorite feature, of course, as you already guessed, the water tank and mopping situation. I mean, come on, it pulls water out of the air, and it also recycles the dirty water so you don't have to refill the clean water or empty out dirty water. That was the one thing I hated about robot mops, that you had to constantly do that every week or two. Now that's a thing of the past, and I love that. I love how it does a good job at avoiding obstacles like poop, especially because that would be a disaster waiting to happen. The app is very beautiful, very easy to use. The overall design of the robot and the station looks fantastic. I love it. Nice gray and black, nice futuristic design going on with those LED lights. And come on, that roller brush shoots out to go get the edges of walls. Come on, that's pretty cool. But all in all, this is definitely going to be my new robot vacuum that's going to be sitting right here and doing all the cleaning for me, because I don't want to. Like when I'm cooking in the kitchen, drop crumbs on the floor, I'm like, don't worry guys, you don't have to pick it up. Call the robot vacuum over there, it takes care of it for me every single time, and that's just how lazy I am, and this thing is definitely going to be able to get that job done.